The warning had been there for 10,000 years. It floated in the cold darkness of space, a small metal beacon broadcasting the same message over and over again. The message was simple. It said, "Do not go to this planet, do not contact its people, do not make them angry. Classification, Level 15, maximum danger." But Triumvir did not care about old warnings. He stood on the bridge of his massive warship, looking at the blue planet on his screen. Earth, such a small world, such weak creatures living on it. His scouts had watched them for months. They used primitive machines. They killed each other over stupid things. They lived short lives and died easily. Had conquered 4,000 planets. He had never lost a single war. His empire stretched across 2 galaxies. His soldiers were tall, strong, and born for battle. They had weapons that could destroy cities in seconds. They had shields that could stop any attack. What could these humans possibly do against him? "Triumvir," said one of his advisors, a thin named. "The old Federation records say this planet is dangerous. Perhaps we should study them more before." "The Federation died 10,000 years ago," said. His voice was cold. "Their warnings mean nothing. Look at these creatures. They cannot even leave their own star system. They are children playing with toys." Lowered his head. He knew better than to argue with. Far below, on Earth's moon, Captain Park was drinking his 3rd cup of coffee. He worked at Luna Base, a small military station that watched the sky for any threats. It was a boring job. Nothing ever happened. Spent most nights playing cards with his team and counting the days until he could go home to Seoul. But tonight was different. The alarm started screaming at exactly 3:47 a.m. Jumped from his chair and ran to his screen. What he saw made his blood turn cold. Ships, thousands of ships. They were coming from deep space, moving toward Earth like a dark cloud. "Get me General," said. His voice was shaking. "Now." General was 63 years old. He had fought in 3 wars. He had seen terrible things and done terrible things. Nothing scared him anymore. But when he saw the images from Luna Base, he felt something he had not felt in 30 years. Fear. "How many?" he asked. 15,000 ships, sir," reported. "Maybe more. They will reach Earth in 6 days." Closed his eyes. 15,000 ships. Earth had maybe 200 military spacecraft. They were not built for war. They were built for moving cargo and watching satellites. "Wake everyone up," said quietly. "Every government, every military, everyone, and find me Dr. Myra." Dr. Myra was a scientist who studied alien life. She had spent 20 years reading old files from the Galactic Federation, ancient records that humanity had found on Mars 50 years ago. Most people thought she was crazy. Aliens were just old stories, they said. There was no proof they existed. Now she was the most important person on Earth. Myra arrived at the military base in Seoul 3 hours later. She was a small woman with tired eyes and messy hair. She had not slept in 2 days. She carried a tablet computer filled with files that almost nobody had ever read. "Tell me everything," General said. Myra took a deep breath. 10,000 years ago there was a Galactic Federation. Thousands of species, thousands of planets all working together. They mapped the entire galaxy. They found Earth, and they put a warning on it. "What kind of warning?" Myra pulled up a file on her tablet. The words were in an alien language, but she had spent years translating them. "Class 15 alert," she read. "That is the highest danger level possible. The Federation classified planets by how dangerous they were to visit. Most planets are Class 1 or 2. Some dangerous planets are Class 5 or 6. Earth is Class 15. Frowned. "Why? We are not that dangerous." Myra laughed, but it was not a happy laugh. "General, do you know what we are? We are apex predators. We evolved on a planet that tries to kill us every single day. Earthquakes, volcanoes, ice ages, diseases, animals with claws and teeth, and we survived all of it. We did not just survive, we conquered our planet. We became the most dangerous thing on Earth. She showed him more of the translation. The Federation said we are persistence hunters. That means we do not fight like other species. Other species attack, and if they lose, they run away. We do not run away. We keep coming. We chase our prey until it falls down from exhaustion. We do not give up, ever. And the warning? Asked. Myra read from her tablet. Do not engage, do not contact, do not provoke. Species shows irrational aggression when threatened. Will pursue conflict beyond any logical endpoint. Recommend permanent quarantine. The room was silent. They were afraid of us, Captain said softly. He had been listening from the corner. The Federation was afraid of us. Yes, Myra said, and they were smart enough to stay away. But these new aliens, though they did not read the warning or they did not believe it. General stood up slowly. He walked to the window and looked at the night sky. Somewhere up there, 15,000 enemy ships were coming to destroy everything he loved. Can we win? He asked. Myra did not answer for a long time. When she spoke, her voice was steady. General, the Federation was right about one thing. Humans do not give up. We do not surrender. We do not stop fighting until we are dead, and sometimes not even then. She turned off her tablet and looked at him with hard eyes. They think they are coming to conquer a weak planet. They think we will surrender when we see their ships. They think we will beg for our lives. Myra smiled. It was not a nice smile. They have made a terrible mistake. They should have read the warning. General nodded slowly. He turned to his staff. Contact every nation on Earth. Tell them what is coming, and tell them to prepare for war. 6 days later, the fleet arrived in Earth's sky. Triumvir broadcast his message to the planet below. He demanded total surrender. He promised death to anyone who resisted. Every nation on Earth sent back the same answer. 3 words in every language. Come and take it. Laughed when he heard it. These stupid creatures did not understand what they were facing. He would teach them. He did not know that the lesson would destroy everything he had ever built. Triumvir looked at the message from Earth and felt nothing but amusement. Come and take it. Such brave words from such small creatures. He had heard similar words before from other species on other worlds. They all said brave things at first. Then they saw the power of the Empire. Then they begged. Humans would be no different. They need a lesson, said to his advisors. Pick a city, a medium-sized one, destroy it. Then they will understand. His military commander, a named, studied the planet below. There is a city on the eastern coast of the large peninsula, called population 3 million. It has a military port. Perfect, said, burn it. Lieutenant was flying patrol over the ocean when the sky turned white. She was 29 years old, a fighter pilot for 6 years. She had trained for combat her entire adult life, but she had never seen real war. Nobody had. Earth had been at peace for almost a century. The light came from behind her, from the direction of her home. Turned her fighter jet around. What she saw broke something inside her. The city was burning, not burning like a fire, burning like the sun had fallen on it. A beam of white energy from the ships had hit the center of the city. Everything within 10 kilometers was gone, just gone, turned to ash and smoke and nothing. Her parents lived in, her little brother, her grandmother who made the best kimchi in the world, her friends from school, her first boyfriend, everyone she had ever loved. Gone. Did not scream. She did not cry. Something cold and hard formed in her chest, something that would never go away. Command, she said into her radio. Her voice was perfectly calm. Is destroyed, requesting permission to engage enemy fleet. There was silence. Then General's voice came through. All pilots return to base. We need to. No, said. Sir, with respect, no, they killed my family. They killed 3 million people. I am not going back to base. I am going up there. "Lieutenant, that is a direct order." Turned off her radio. Across Earth, the same scene was playing out. People watched their screens in horror as disappeared. For a moment, the whole planet was frozen. Nobody knew what to do. Nobody knew what to say. Then something happened that they did not expect. Humanity got angry. Not scared, not desperate, angry. In Seoul, General watched his staff crying and screaming. He understood their pain, but there was no time for grief. There would be time for grief later. Right now, there was only one thing to do. "Protocol Omega," he said quietly. His officers stopped crying. They looked at him with wide eyes. "Sir, Protocol Omega is—" "I know what it is," said. "Activate it now." Protocol Omega was Earth's secret plan for exactly this situation. For 50 years, since they found the Federation records on Mars, Earth's governments had been preparing. They had built weapons in secret. They had hidden nuclear missiles in every ocean. They had placed satellites in orbit that looked like communication devices but were actually kinetic weapons, giant metal rods that could fall from space and hit harder than any bomb. Nobody thought they would ever need Protocol Omega. It was just a plan, just words on paper. Now it was real. Private First Class was 18 years old. He had been in the military for 3 months. He had joined because his father wanted him to, not because he wanted to fight. He was scared of loud noises. He hated sleeping in uncomfortable beds. He missed his mother's cooking. When the ground troops landed near his base, was in the bathroom crying. He heard the explosions outside. He heard the screaming. He heard the strange sound of alien weapons, a high-pitched whine followed by a crack of thunder. Looked at himself in the mirror. He was just a boy. He did not want to die. He wanted to go home and eat his mother's food and play video games with his friends. But his mother was in. If they were not stopped, they would go to next. They would kill his mother like they killed the people in. Wiped his tears, he picked up his rifle, he walked outside. The soldiers were tall, almost 3 meters, with gray skin and 4 arms. They wore black armor that looked impossible to break. They carried weapons that glowed with blue light. They were killing everyone. Soldiers, civilians, it did not matter. They were laughing while they did it. Raised his rifle and fired. The bullet bounced off the alien's armor. They turned and looked at him. It made a sound that might have been a laugh. Fired again and again and again. He was still firing when the alien shot him. The blast hit his shoulder and spun him around. He fell to the ground, bleeding. But he did not stop. With one working arm, he pulled out his pistol and kept shooting. They stopped laughing. All across Earth, the same thing was happening. They had expected humans to surrender after. They had expected fear and begging and weakness. Instead, they found something they had never seen before. Humans who would not give up. In Japan, an old man attacked a soldier with a kitchen knife. He died, but he hurt the alien first, found a gap in its armor and made it bleed. In Brazil, a school teacher led her students into the jungle and started a guerrilla war with hunting rifles. In Russia, farmers drove their tractors into landing craft, destroying the ships and themselves. In Nigeria, a doctor who had never held a weapon in her life picked up a dead soldier's gun and fought until she ran out of bullets. Then she fought with her hands. The commander on the ground sent a message to Triumvir. His voice was shaking. "Triumvir, something is wrong. The humans are not surrendering. They are attacking us, everywhere, even when they cannot win, even when they know they will die. They keep coming, the old ones, the young ones, the wounded ones. They will not stop." Frowned, this was not normal. In his experience, species fought until they realized they could not win. Then they surrendered to save their lives. It was logical. It was sensible. Humans were not being logical or sensible. "Kill more of them," ordered. "They will break eventually." He was wrong. Lieutenant reached the fleet alone. One small fighter jet against 15,000 warships. She had no chance. She knew she had no chance. She did not care. Her jet carried one nuclear missile. It was not big enough to destroy a warship, but if she could get close enough, if she could fly directly into their command ship. The point defense systems tracked her. They fired thousands of shots. Most of them missed. She was flying too fast, too unpredictably, making movements that should have killed her from the G-forces alone. But she kept flying. She thought about her grandmother's smile, her brother's laugh, her parents holding hands on their anniversary. She thought about 3 million people who would never see another sunrise. "This is for," she said. She flew her jet directly into the command ship's main engine. The nuclear missile detonated on impact. The command ship did not explode, but its engines failed. It started falling toward Earth, breaking apart as it fell. It was the first ship destroyed in combat in 400 years. And it was destroyed by one human, in one tiny jet, who refused to give up. On his flagship, Triumvir watched the command ship fall. He felt something strange in his chest, something cold. For the first time in his very long life, wondered if he had made a mistake. On Earth, the humans saw the falling ship too. They saw what one pilot had done, and they understood something important. They could be hurt. They could be killed. They could lose. General watched the burning ship fall across the sky like a second sun. He allowed himself one small smile. "That was just the beginning," he said quietly. "Now the real war starts." 2 weeks after the invasion began, they started to understand why Earth was called a. It started with small things. Soldiers began getting sick, strange fevers, infections that would not heal, rashes that spread across their gray skin. On their disease was rare. Their bodies were not built to fight bacteria and viruses. Earth had billions of them in the air, in the water, in the soil. Every breath it took was filled with tiny living things that wanted to eat them. Then there was the gravity. Earth's gravity was stronger than not by much, only 20%, but it was enough. Soldiers got tired faster. Their joints hurt. Their hearts worked harder. After 2 weeks of fighting, many of them could barely walk. And then there was the cold. Triumvir sent a battalion of 500 soldiers to secure a human base in Siberia. It was winter. The temperature was -40 degrees. They had never experienced cold like that. Their equipment froze. Their weapons stopped working. Their fingers turned black and fell off. The humans in that area did not even fight them. They just waited. After 3 days, they walked through the snow and found 500 frozen corpses. Captain Park lost his left arm on the 8th day of the war. He was leading a guerrilla unit in the mountains of Provence. They had been attacking supply lines, stealing their equipment, killing their soldiers, and disappearing into the forests before the aliens could respond. On the 8th day, they attacked a convoy. The battle was going well until an officer appeared with a weapon had never seen before. It fired a beam of light that cut through anything it touched. The beam hit his left arm just below the elbow. His arm fell to the ground. Blood sprayed everywhere. Any normal person would have passed out from the pain. Any normal person would have stopped fighting. Was not a normal person. He picked up his rifle with his right hand and kept shooting. He killed the officer. He killed 3 more soldiers. He was still fighting when his team dragged him away. At the medical station, the doctor told him he needed to rest for months. He needed surgery. He needed time to heal. Was back in the field the next morning. "They took my arm," he told his soldiers. "Not my heart, not my head, not my hate. We keep fighting." His soldiers followed him. They would have followed him into hell. Dr. Myra was not a soldier, but she was fighting her own war. They had advanced technology, faster-than-light communication, energy shields, weapons that could destroy buildings with a single shot. If humans could understand this technology, they could use it against the invaders. Myra led a team of scientists in an underground bunker near. They had captured communication devices, weapons, armor, and even a small spacecraft. Day and night, they studied these things, trying to understand how they worked. It was hard. Technology was thousands of years more advanced than anything on Earth. It was like asking a child to understand nuclear physics. But humans were good at learning. It was one of their greatest strengths. On the 10th day, Myra's team cracked the communication encryption. Suddenly, they could hear everything they were saying to each other, every order, every plan, every fear. And they were afraid. "They do not stop," one soldier said in a message to his commander. "We kill 10 of them and 20 more appear. We destroy their weapons and they attack us with rocks and sticks. I have fought many species. I have never seen anything like this." Another message said, "The air here is poison, the water is poison, the food is poison. Even the light from their sun burns our skin. How do these creatures survive on this planet?" Myra translated these messages and sent them to General. For the first time in 2 weeks, she allowed herself to smile. "They are scared of us," she said. "Good." Han was 24 years old. Before the invasion, she was a graduate student in electrical engineering at KAIST, one of Korea's best universities. She was working on her thesis about electromagnetic field manipulation. It was boring work, mostly math and computer simulations. Then they came and destroyed her university. They killed her professor. They killed most of her classmates. Survived only because she was in the basement laboratory when the attack happened. She stayed in that basement for 2 weeks. During those 2 weeks, she studied a crash that had fallen nearby. She took it apart piece by piece. She analyzed its power systems, its weapons, its shields. And she found something interesting. Shields were very strong. They could stop bullets, bombs, even nuclear explosions. But they had a weakness. They operated on a specific electromagnetic frequency. If you hit them with the right frequency, they would fail. Built a device in her basement. It was ugly, just wires and circuits and pieces of technology held together with tape. But when she pointed it at a piece of armor and turned it on, the armor's shield disappeared. Then she pointed it at a flying overhead. The ship's shields failed. Its engine stopped. It fell from the sky and crashed into the ground. Looked at the burning wreckage. She looked at the device in her hands. "I think this will help," she said quietly. General stood in his command center looking at reports from around the world. The news was mixed. Humanity was losing. They did not have enough soldiers, enough weapons, enough technology. But they were also winning. Every day, they lost more troops. Every day, humans learned new ways to fight. "We cannot beat them in direct combat," said to his officers. "So we will not fight them directly. We will make this planet a nightmare for them. Every road will be a trap. Every building will be a fortress. Every human will be a soldier." He pointed at the map. "They want our cities. Let them have the cities, but fill them with traps first. They want our food. Poison it. They want our water. Contaminate it. They want to breathe our air. Make sure every breath they take brings them closer to death." One of his officers hesitated. "Sir, this will destroy our own infrastructure. Our own people will suffer." Nodded, "Yes, we will suffer, but we will survive, they will not." Sergeant O used to be a chef at a fancy restaurant in Seoul. He made beautiful dishes that cost more money than most people earned in a week. He had never held a weapon in his life. Now he was one of the most dangerous humans on Earth. Discovered that could not eat human food. Their bodies could not process it. But more than that, human spices were toxic to them. Garlic made them sick. Chili peppers burned their insides. Ginger caused their hearts to beat irregularly. Started a new kind of warfare. His team would sneak into camps and contaminate their food supplies with human spices. Within days, entire units would be too sick to fight. "Cooking is about understanding ingredients," explained to his team. "Understanding what they do to the body. Understanding how to combine them for maximum effect." He smiled. It was not a nice smile. I am still cooking. I am just cooking for different customers now. Triumvir received the casualty reports at the end of the second week. He read them 3 times because he could not believe what he was seeing. He had lost more soldiers in 2 weeks on Earth than in his previous 50 campaigns combined. His advisors urged him to retreat. "This planet is cursed," one of them said. "The Federation was right. We should never have come here." Refused. He was triumvir of the Empire. He had never retreated from anything in his life. He would not retreat from a planet of primitive apes. "Send more troops," he ordered. "Send all our reserves. We will bury them in bodies if we have to." But deep in his chest, in a place he did not want to look at, felt something cold. Humans had a word for it. They called it dread. On Earth, the resistance was growing. Humans who had never fought before were picking up weapons. Scientists were inventing new ways to kill. Soldiers who should have been dead were still fighting. Dr. Myra sat in her bunker, reading another intercepted message. This one was from a young soldier to his family back home. "I want to come home," the message said. "This place is wrong. The creatures here are wrong. They smile when they die. They laugh when they kill us. I am afraid. For the first time in my life, I am afraid." Myra saved the message and leaned back in her chair. "Good," she whispered. "Be afraid. You should be afraid." Outside, the war continued, and humanity, the apex predator of it, was just getting started. 1 month after the invasion, the war changed. For the first 3 weeks, humans had been defending. They had been hiding, running, surviving. They had won small victories, a destroyed ship here, a dead battalion there, but they had not truly attacked. Now it was time to attack. Hans' electromagnetic weapon was being built in factories all over the world. Underground factories, hidden in mountains and caves and the basements of destroyed buildings. Humans worked day and night, building the weapons that would turn the war around. The weapons were ugly. They looked like metal boxes covered in wires. They did not look like something that could destroy an alien empire. But when you pointed one at a ship and pressed the button, the ship fell from the sky. That was all that mattered. Captain Park stood on the bridge of humanity's first real warship. It was not a beautiful ship. It was built from pieces of 100 different things: human technology, stolen equipment, and a lot of hope. The hull was made from the armor of crashed alien spacecraft. The engines were human, but they had been modified with power systems. The weapons were electromagnetic devices built into the ship's structure. The crew called it the Ugly Duck, did not care what it was called. He cared what it could do. "How many ships do we have?" asked his second-in-command lieutenant. 212, she said. "Fighters mostly, a few larger vessels, nothing like what they have." Nodded. The Still had over 3,000 ships in Earth's orbit. The numbers were still against them, but numbers were not everything. "We are not going to win by having more ships," said. "We are going to win by being smarter, by being faster, by being willing to do things they would never expect." He looked at his crew. They were young, most of them. Many had never been in space before last week. Many had lost families in Seoul, in 100 other cities that they had attacked. They were not professional soldiers. They were engineers, students, farmers, teachers. They were scared and tired and grieving. But they were also human, and that meant they would not give up. "Today we stop defending," said. "Today we start hunting." The first battle happened near the moon. Led his squadron of 200 ships against a carrier group. They had 3,000 ships in the group. By any logic, the humans should have been destroyed in minutes. But humans did not fight with logic. They fought with something else. Ships came in fast and scattered, making it impossible for them to target them all. They dove between the larger ships, firing their electromagnetic weapons at close range. Shields failed. Engines exploded. Ships crashed into each other as they tried to hit the tiny human fighters buzzing around them. Then the humans did something they had never seen before. They rammed. 17 human pilots flew their ships directly into vessels. No weapons, no missiles, just their ships moving at maximum speed, crashing into the enemy. It was suicide, it was insane. It worked. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it was over, 47 human ships survived. They had destroyed 800 vessels. Triumvir received the report in silence. 800 ships, lost to a group of primitives in homemade vessels. How? He asked quietly. His military commander shook his head. They do not fight like any species we have ever encountered. They use tactics that should not work. They sacrifice themselves without hesitation. They attack from directions we do not expect. Then expect everything, said. Anticipate their madness. We cannot, said. That is the problem. There is no pattern to their madness. They do whatever causes the most damage, even if it kills them. We cannot predict creatures who do not care if they live or die. Stared at him. In 500 years of war, no one had ever told him that an enemy could not be predicted. Then what do we do? Was silent for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. We leave. We leave now before they destroy us all. On Earth, the ground war was also changing. Sergeant O and his team had grown from 12 people to 300. They moved through the countryside like ghosts, appearing wherever they did not expect them. They poisoned food supplies. They sabotaged equipment. They killed soldiers in their sleep. But's greatest weapon was not poison or guns. It was information. Dr. Myra had cracked the communication system completely. Now she could not only listen to their messages, she could send her own. Fake orders, false reports, lies that sounded like truth. Units received orders to march into ambushes. Supply convoys went to wrong locations and found human soldiers waiting for them. Commanders trusted reports that said areas were safe, only to find death waiting in the shadows. They do not understand how we know so much, Myra reported to General. They think they have traitors in their ranks. They are starting to distrust each other. Nodded, good. An enemy that distrusts itself is already half beaten. Commander Shin was not supposed to be a hero. She was 31 years old, a naval officer who had spent most of her career behind a desk. She had never been in combat. She had never killed anyone. Before the invasion, her biggest worry was getting promoted. Now she was leading the most dangerous mission of the war. Her team was small, only 12 soldiers. Their mission was simple: capture a warship, not destroy it, capture it. The scientists needed one intact with all its systems working so they could learn more about technology. This plan was insane. They would approach the ship in a small shuttle that had been modified to look like design. They would dock with the ship. They would board it, and they would take it. 12 humans against a ship with 500 soldiers. This is impossible, one of her team members said. Smiled. Everything we have done for the past month was impossible. We are still here. They are dying. I like our chances. The boarding went wrong almost immediately. They detected them as soon as they docked. Alarms screamed through the ship. Soldiers poured toward them. Did not panic. She had studied the ship's layout for days. She knew where to go. Engineering section, she ordered. If we control the engines, we control the ship. They fought through the corridors. 3 of her soldiers died in the first 5 minutes. 2 more died securing a junction. But they kept moving, kept fighting, kept killing. They were bigger, stronger, better armed. But they were also confused. They had never been boarded before. They did not know how to fight in the narrow corridors of their own ship. His team reached engineering with 7 survivors. The door was locked. Soldiers were coming from behind. Blow it, said. They placed explosives on the door and took cover. The explosion was deafening. When the smoke cleared, the door was gone. Inside, 20 engineers turned to face them. shot the first one before he could move. Her team poured in after her, firing at everything that moved. The battle lasted 4 minutes. When it was over, all 20 were dead. 2 more of soldiers were dead. Only 5 humans remained. But they controlled the engineering section, sealed the door, and accessed the ship's computer. With Myra's translations, she had learned enough language to operate basic systems. She shut down life support to every section of the ship except engineering. Then she waited. It took 2 hours for the remaining to die. Some tried to break into engineering. They failed. Some put on emergency suits. The suits ran out of air eventually. Some tried to send messages for help, had already disabled communications. When the ship was silent, opened the doors and walked through the corridors. 500 bodies, 500 enemies who would never hurt another human. She reached the bridge and sat in the captain's chair. "General," she said into her communicator, "this is Commander Shin. We have captured a warship, intact, ready for pickup." There was silence on the line. Then General's voice came through. "Commander, how many soldiers do you have left?" Looked at her team. 5 tired, wounded humans. 5, sir, including myself." Another pause, then laughed. It was the first time anyone had heard him laugh in a month. 5 soldiers captured a warship. 5 soldiers killed 500. His voice turned serious. "Commander, I am promoting you. As of now, you are Captain Shin. When this war is over, you will be a legend." Looked out the window of her captured ship. Earth floated below, blue and beautiful. "We are all legends now, sir," she said quietly. "Every human who fights, every human who refuses to give up, we are all legends." On his flagship, Triumvir received the news about the captured ship. He stood very still for a long time. 5 humans, 5. He had conquered 4,000 worlds. He had defeated species with technology far beyond what humans possessed. He had never lost a war. Now 5 humans had captured one of his ships. Made a decision that would destroy his reputation, end his career, and haunt him for the rest of his life. "Order the retreat," he said. "All ships, we are leaving." His advisors stared at him in shock. "Triumvir, if we retreat." "We are losing," interrupted. His voice was tired. "Every day we stay, we lose more. Every day they fight, they get stronger. If we stay, they will destroy us all." He looked at the blue planet on his screen. Such a small world, such dangerous creatures. "We should have read the warning," he said quietly. "We should have read it." The fleet began to move, away from Earth, away from humanity, away from the worst mistake they had ever made. But humanity was not finished yet. Not even close. They were running. 3 months after they came to Earth with 15,000 ships and dreams of easy conquest, they were running away with less than 6,000 ships and nightmares that would never end. Triumvir stood on his bridge and watched Earth grow smaller behind him. He had lost 60% of his invasion force. He had lost his reputation. He had lost something even more important, his belief that they could defeat anything. Earth had broken something inside him. He told himself it was over. He would go home, rebuild his fleet, and never speak of this defeat. In 100 years, people would forget that Earth had ever beaten him. He was wrong. General addressed the United Earth Council in a bunker beneath the mountains of Switzerland. The leaders of every nation were there, either in person or on screens. They had spent 3 months fighting together. They had lost cities, families, millions of lives, but they had survived. Now they had a choice to make. "They are retreating," said. "In a few hours they will leave our solar system. If we do nothing, they will go home. They will rebuild. And in 10 or 20 or 50 years they will come back with a larger fleet, or another species will come, or another after that." He looked at the faces around him. Tired faces, grieving faces, but also hard faces, determined faces. "We have one chance to change this. One chance to show the galaxy that Earth is not a planet you attack and walk away from. One chance to make them understand that if you hurt us, we will follow you to the end of the universe and hurt you back. He paused. I am asking for permission to pursue the fleet and destroy it. The room was silent. Then the president of Korea spoke. We barely have ships, we barely have weapons. How can we pursue them? Nodded. It will be difficult. We will use captured technology, their faster-than-light engines, their weapons, their shields. We will build a fleet in days. It will not be pretty. It will not be safe. But it will be ours. The President of the United States leaned forward. And if we fail, if we send our ships out there and they are destroyed, then we die fighting, said simply. But we will die showing the galaxy what humans are. We will die proving that the Class 15 warning was right. And maybe, the next species that thinks about invading Earth will remember what happened to thee and decide to stay home. The vote was unanimous. Captain Park stood in the construction bay and watched his new ship being built. It was bigger than the Ugly Duck, a real warship built from the captured vessel that Shin had taken. Human engineers had spent days studying it, learning its secrets, making it theirs. They kept the hull, but they filled it with human hearts. The ship was called named for the city that died, named for 3 million people who would never be forgotten. Cybernetic arm, built from components by Han herself, gleamed in the construction bay lights. He flexed the metal fingers. They moved perfectly, better than his real hand had ever moved. The had taken his arm. He had taken their technology and made it part of himself. That felt right. Dr. Myra found him there an hour later. The fleet is almost ready, she said. 200 ships, all equipped with weapons, all crewed by volunteers. Nodded and the fleet. Moving toward the edge of the solar system. They will reach faster than light distance in 6 hours. Then we need to catch them before that. Myra hesitated. I want to come with you. He turned to look at her. You are a scientist, not a soldier. I was a scientist, she said. Now I am. I do not know what I am, but I know that I want to see this through. I want to look in the eyes when we defeat him. I want to show him the face of the species he tried to destroy. Studied her for a long moment, then he smiled. Welcome aboard, Doctor. The human fleet launched 4 hours later. 200 ships flying toward the largest battle in human history. They were outnumbered 30-1. Their ships were untested. Their crews were exhausted. But they were human, and humans did not know how to give up. Triumvir received the report with disbelief. They are pursuing us. He stared at his tactical officer. They should be celebrating their survival. They should be rebuilding their cities. Why are they pursuing us? No one had an answer. Watched the human ships on his screen, such small vessels, such tiny crews, they should not be a threat. His fleet still outnumbered them 30-1. But had learned to fear humans. He had learned that numbers meant nothing against creatures who did not care if they died. Turn and fight, he ordered. All ships, we end this now. The battle began at the edge of the solar system, near the orbit of Neptune. 6,000 ships against 200 human ships, the largest space battle the galaxy had seen in 10,000 years. It should have been over in minutes. It was not. Captain Park led the charge his ship dove into the center of the formation, firing electromagnetic pulses in every direction. Shields failed. Ships exploded. Soldiers died by the thousands. Sergeant O commanded a small assault ship called the Kitchen. He did not fire weapons. Instead, he rammed his ship into a cruiser's docking bay and led a boarding party inside. An hour later, the cruiser was his. Captain Shin led a squadron of fighters in impossible maneuvers, dancing between capital ships like insects avoiding. Every time she passed a vessel, she left explosions behind her. Han sat in a command room monitoring every electromagnetic weapon in the fleet. When a weapon failed, she talked the crew through repairs. When a weapon overloaded, she found ways to boost its power. She had never been in a battle before. By the end of this one, she had saved a dozen ships. Dr. Myra stood on the bridge beside, translating intercepted communications. They were panicking. Their commanders were screaming at each other. Their soldiers were refusing to fight. "They are breaking," she reported. "They cannot believe we are still attacking. They keep asking why we will not stop." Smiled grimly. "Because we are human, we do not stop, we never stop." The battle lasted 8 hours. When it was over, the fleet was destroyed. 4,000 ships turned to debris floating in the darkness of space. Triumvir's flagship was surrounded, its engines disabled, its weapons silent. 90 human ships survived. 90 ships crewed by people who had refused to die. The docked with flagship. Captain Park, Captain Shin, Sergeant O, and Dr. Myra walked through the corridors together. They stepped over the bodies of soldiers. They ignored the survivors who cowered in corners. They found Triumvir on his bridge standing alone. His advisors had fled or died. His empire was in ruins. Everything he had built was gone. He looked at the 4 humans who entered his bridge. A one-armed captain, a woman who had captured a warship with 12 soldiers, a chef who had killed with spices, a scientist who had cracked the secrets of his empire. "Why?" asked. His voice was broken. "Why fight so hard? You could have surrendered, you could have lived. Why did you choose death?" Captain Shin answered. Her voice was cold. "You attacked our home. There was never any other option." Shook his head. "No species fights like you. No species sacrifices so much. It is not logical. It is not reasonable." Dr. Myra stepped forward. "The Federation called us irrational. They called us aggressive. They called us dangerous." She smiled. They were right. Far away, on the edge of the galaxy, the Galactic Federation woke up. For 10,000 years, they had slept. Their warning beacons had broadcast into the darkness, telling everyone to stay away from the called Earth. Now they detected something impossible. The Empire, one of the most powerful forces in 2 galaxies, had been destroyed by the species they had warned about. The Federation Council gathered to discuss this development. They were ancient beings, wise and cautious. They knew better than anyone how dangerous humans could be. "They have captured technology," one council member said. "Soon they will have faster-than-light travel. They will spread into the galaxy." "We should destroy them now," another said, "while they are still weak." "You fool," said the oldest council member. "Did you not watch what they did to They are not weak. They were never weak. We just hoped they would stay on their planet forever." She pulled up the ancient report, the Class 15 warning, the words that humanity had finally proven true. "They will come to us," she said. "Sooner or later they will find us, and when they do, we have one chance to survive." "What chance is that?" "Be polite, be respectful, and never ever make them angry." The human delegation arrived at Federation space 6 months later. Dr. Myra led the delegation. Behind her stood Captain Park, Captain Shin, and General. Behind them, visible through the window, floated the captured fleet, a reminder of what happened to species that underestimated humanity. The Federation ambassador looked at them with ancient eyes. "What do you want?" she asked. Myra smiled. It was the same smile she had shown, cold, hard, unforgiving. "We want to talk. We have been alone for a very long time, but understand this, we will never be invaded again. We will never be threatened again, and if anyone tries..." She gestured at the ships. "This is what happens." The ambassador nodded slowly. She made a note in the official record. Class 15 alert upgraded to Class 20. New designation, do not engage under any circumstances. Species name, humanity. Status, awake. She looked at the humans again. These small creatures from a small planet. These persistent hunters who chased their prey until it fell. These irrational beings who fought beyond any logical endpoint. "Welcome to the galaxy," she said quietly. "We have been expecting you. We have been afraid of you for 10,000 years." Dr. Myra's smile softened just a little. "You do not need to be afraid," she said. "We are not monsters. We are just protective of our home. Help us, trade with us, treat us as equals, and you will find no better friends in the universe." She paused. "But attack us, threaten our children, try to conquer our world." Her eyes went hard again. "And you will find that the Class 15 warning was too kind." In the silence that followed, the galaxy understood something important. The had awakened, and nothing would ever be the same.